want to welcome you to the final event in our summer speaker series. Although today is not a speaker, it's actually a musician, Stanford's very own Lizzie No, who graduated from Stanford a few years ago. I am really excited to introduce her. She is a contemporary folk musician, which means she's an acoustic musician. And with the release of her debut album, Hard One, in March 2017, Lizzie established herself as an exciting new voice in music. Billboard Magazine called Hard One simultaneously understated and fervent, and Paste Magazine dubbed her the best of what's next. She followed up with the release of Sundown, a benefit track for Black Lives Matter. Lizzie's most recent album, Vanity, was released in August of 2019. And actually her most recent was the album that she made especially for us, which was the kind of bootleg that she put together just for Summer Session. Rolling Stone called the single Narcissist on the Vanity album a crisp alt-rock gem and a song you need to know. Lizzie has showcased at Americana Fest, South by Southwest, and the Mile of Music Festival. And in fact, she had planned to be doing a tour of Europe this summer, but because of COVID-19, that did not happen. And that's one of the reasons that we were able to have her with us today. Classical arrangements of her songs have been performed at the Louisville Orchestra's Festival of American Music and the Downtown Chamber Series. And she's also a winner of the American Songwriter Magazine Lyrics Contest. With that, I will hand it over to Lizzie.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I'm just so excited to be back virtually at Stanford. I'm gonna jump right in with a song called Monuments. There's a thin white line cutting up the plains as I travel back in time, never swallow up the days, watch the lights come up in the city where you are, and I close my eyes and feel the warmth of falling in your arms. And somebody cut me loose today, but I don't have use for my wings in a hurricane unless I'm on my way. Back east who said don't trust the weatherman, you never know when a sudden storm is gonna consecrate the land. Said on nights like these I can hear the monuments, just like us, they're drinking poison, singing what they can't forget. Somebody cut me loose today, but I don't have use for my wings in a hurricane unless I'm on my way. I felt my heart grow wild with every valley that I crossed. No, I knew nothing of desert but the fear of being lost, and you could hear me now. But I've been calling out your name when I wake up pinching nightmares and find I'm alone again. And somebody cut me loose today, but I don't have use for my wings in a hurricane, Somebody cut me loose today, don't know if any of you students are from the East Coast, but I wrote that song on a plane flight coming from New York back to California, and the feeling that you're traveling back in time over like a patchwork quilt was the inspiration for that. This next song is the title track off of my first album. It's called Hard One, and I wrote it during, I think, the first summer I was back in New York after moving back from California, and these sticky New York summers, just feeling like you need to like jump in a cold shower anytime you go out on the street, which we're definitely experiencing again. So this is Hard One. My feet under cold water whenever I get home, and I tell myself that I did it all better than I might have done. Came up like a paper daughter, falling with the afterthought, and the tender mercy that I was after came hard won, hard won. Oh, how I've tried keeping you in my mind. And I've done my time lying awake at night. But those lonely times are done. And it was hard won. Hard won. I found myself in a strange old land without a hand to hold, and I was mad at God for leaving me standing in the bitter sun. But I kept hanging on to the very end of my rope, and sitting down all right with myself came hard won, hard won. Oh, how I tried keeping you in my mind. And I've done my time lying awake at night. But those lonely times are done. And it was hard won. Hard won. I was up on the 3rd Street Bridge the night you got my letter. I was singing out in Virginia when you found someone. Had to lay your memory down on the altar of my anger, and the peace of mind that I finally found came hard won, hard won. I'm going to do my first of a few instrument switches of the night. You know, COVID has affected all of us. I admire all of you for carrying on with your classes while things have been interrupted. And one thing that's hard, I won't say hard, I'll say fun and challenging to try to figure out is how to put on a concert from a bedroom when you're used to having a whole stage and wrangling instruments. So I hope you enjoyed the very like tiny desk style concert that we're doing. This next song was on my most recent album, Vanity, and it's called Labor Day. Pulled in after dark, startled horses in the headlights. When the sun came up, the fountain showed its spine. Indian paintbrush, trouble on my mind. Indian paintbrush, trouble on my mind. There in black and white, I can see a backyard wedding. Since they filled the pond full of things to catch, stepping over crawfish, try to clean my hands. Oh, stepping over crawfish, try to clean my hands. What if I've outgrown the way that I've been living? I've been thinking hard about packing up my things. And when I hit the Rockies, setting them down again. Oh, when I hit the Rockies, set them down again. This next tune, I actually wasn't planning on playing tonight, but I'm feeling moved to do it. It's called The Killing Season. I believe I put it on the EP that we put out for you guys to listen to in advance. And it's a song that I unfortunately have to keep playing over and over because it becomes relevant as another person of color is killed by police. So this is just about the repetition of that and the awful, awful certainty of it. The backyard looks nice. You'll have preserves in the wintertime. waiting in a glass jar. And summer comes in blazing. It comes in hard, and you were one of the pure of heart, but it didn't help you none. There's no telling our shapes apart when the killing season comes. The killing season comes. Throw your arms out wide. Just before you fall, your beauty silhouetted in a flashlight. In the light, and you were one of the pure of heart, but it didn't help you none. There's no telling our shapes apart when the killing season comes. Killing season comes. The killing season comes. Okay. I'm gonna check my time. Make sure we have enough time for Q&A. When it's time for our Q&A discussion, I would so love to hear a bit more about you folks that are here. It's especially wild to play a show where I can't see your faces, I can't see who's in the room. So I would just love to hear where you're from, if you're creative yourself, what and what you're up to this summer. Not to create a free-for-all, which I know I know sometimes a Q&A can become that, but I'm just very eager to hear from you all. If any of you are interested in the life of a musician beyond Stanford, I'm definitely happy to talk about that. It's a weird and wonderful thing. Most of it is spent tuning on stage in a loud room where you can't hear yourself. So that's a hint. I had a dream we were on a sinking ship, laughing at the black water while everyone was jumping in. I woke up happier than I'd ever been, but I wished I knew you better than I did. Sunken lands, but you say it's no good for a man to let's see. I'm gonna do one on the guitar that I wrote while I was doing my taxes a couple of years ago. And it became clear to me, truly through the numbers, like, oh no, there's more going into my struggling small business than I'm getting out of it. And I started feeling sorry for myself, and it was a mess. And then I kind of just had to like get myself together, hit submit on TurboTax, and like think about the real measure of a year. Not to steal from Rent, there's a famous song about that, but just to think about all the intangibles that were going into my career and my life and the work that I was doing. And so I wrote myself a little like cheer up hymn, and it's called Pity Party. I've been in a little pain of my own design. Here at the pity party, weeks on end. I've been staying up too late, drinking cheap red wine, looking through my phone for the name of an old friend. Nothing's gone the way I planned. I've been all over, all over. I keep working harder than I can start, all over and over and over again. My mind always wandered off when I tried to pray. I was daydreaming of standing on my own. Grow your ego tall enough to give you a little shade. Then don't complain when it blocks out the sun. Nothing's gone the way I planned. I've been all over, all over. I keep working harder than I can, starting all over and over again. Every time I play my songs for a couple of friends, it lights a match for dark times to come. And every day I manage not to throw the towel in. It's counted in my favor in the long run. Nothing's gone the way I planned. I've been all over, all over. I keep working harder than I can, starting all over and over again. I've been in a little pain of my own design. Here at the pity party, weeks on end. Okay, let's do, perhaps, if you'll permit me a quick retune, I would love to do a couple of new songs that have not been released at all. This first one, so at the beginning of quarantine, a couple of mourning doves nested on my balcony. I live in a second floor apartment, and they laid 2 beautiful eggs, and it was kind of this miracle. And then of course the eggs hatched and the babies grew up and flew away, which was very sad because it was kind of all I had to capture my attention at that time. So it felt like a huge loss. And it got me thinking about other kinds of losses. So I wrote a song about it. And it's called Morning Dove Waltz. This is a sneak peek. I wrote most of an album during quarantine with nothing else to do. And these next two songs, my last two, have not been released, so don't drop them on Napster or steal them. But I just wanted to share them with you guys. So this is Morning Dove Waltz. So we're here now. Wake up too early, put on the coffee and listen as it drips down. The bird in my window calls to her children. I guess I've been better. I know I've been worse, but I gave up on wishing. I don't go to church. I just keep my head down and turn up the radio. I lost you for good today. You gave me that look, but I asked you to pack up and sleep at your own place. 'Cause sometimes the heart breaks around the next corner. I guess I've been better. I know I've been worse, but I gave up on wishing. I don't go to church. I just keep my head down, turn up the radio. I was there when you were born, but now you're grown. You don't recognize me anymore. I was there when you were born, but now you're grown. You don't recognize me anymore.
That was so wonderful,
Thank you
beautiful,
so much.
relaxing, just everything we needed right now. So thank you so much. You're very talented. I can't wait to see what our audience has to say. Let's go ahead and start with our first question. Do you have any advice for college students who want to become musicians or artists?
I would say, first things first, you know, you have to trust your own instincts and intuition because somebody else's path is not going to be the exact same path as yours. And so much of it depends on following your gut and doing what you think is going to bring you to the next step and make your work feel worthwhile. So that's like my overarching advice. But as far as practical things, it has taken me like 29 years to learn to love practicing. And it has, like, I've been playing music since I was 3 years old and I never really got into a routine of practicing. It's not my favorite thing. The like repetition is tough. So if you can figure out a way to like love what you do every day, that's great. And like, even if it's just a few minutes a day that you're working towards your craft, whether it's writing, whether it's playing an instrument, singing, just as often as you can do it, is great. And then sort of prioritizing your rest and knowing what to say no to. I think we all have this inner gut sense of, this is good for me, this doesn't feel quite like me. It's good to push yourself, but if you shouldn't say yes to every single opportunity just because it comes along. And I know I was a Stanford student once, and that duck syndrome is real and you want to do everything. But I think the artist life is about saying no to a lot of things so you can say yes to the right things.
Thanks, Lizzie. And the Stanford duck syndrome, for those who haven't heard this one yet, is when you see ducks swimming in the water and they look so graceful and beautiful, but then underneath their feet are moving really, really fast because they're struggling to swim. So that's a typical phrase that we use on campus for people who look like they have it all together on the outside, but maybe are struggling to just do everything underneath. We have our next question from Jack. He actually has his hand raised. So I'm going to go ahead and allow you to talk. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Lizzie. I loved your music.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, when did you graduate Stanford and what did you study at Stanford?
I graduated in 2013 and I studied comparative literature, which is a funny thing because it's a great department and I learned so much, especially about writing poetry and like how to read well. But I also like probably should have either majored or minored in music, but I did not have the confidence to think that I could ever be a professional musician. So that's why I took kind of like a non-traditional path to a music career.
And we have another question coming to us from the Q&A section.
Oh, great.
This one's from Joy. And the question is, what is your go-to guitar?
Ooh, so I'll show you. This guitar that I'm playing right now is what I have been writing on lately. And it is, I'm sorry to say I can't, well, I could recommend it if you come to New York. My uncle, Tom Graham, is an illustrator and in his sort of like retirement has taken up guitar making. So he makes these incredible one-of-a-kind guitars. And this is a nylon string guitar, so it's really light and sort of similar to a harp in the feel of it. So that's what I've been writing on lately. But as far as performing, I play a Gibson Super Jumbo. So it's like back hurts by the end of the show, heaviest guitar in America, but it has an incredible sound and it projects really, really well. I love the Gibson.
Thanks. And so your music has a folk taste to it. How did you get into folk music and where do you see folk music going in the future?
That's a great question. I kind of got into it, I think the way a lot of people get into the music that they're into, which is like light, benign peer pressure in high school. Like I grew up with Peter, Paul and Mary and James Taylor and a few other folksy singer-songwriters, but that was not my main go-to. I was definitely more into indie rock. But when I was in high school, I wanted to be in a band with a couple of my girlfriends, and what they were into was like alt country and folk. So I started listening to the Avett Brothers and Brandi Carlile, and the types of artists that had a lot of harmony because we wanted to sing harmonies. We had a violist, a harpist, and a guitar player. And it's like, what can we do with that? And so it kind of just was like based on what my friends were doing, I got into folk. I think the way that it's going, I hope that it's going to do what it always has done at its best, which is like, there are going to be different groups of folk artists. There's going to be the folk artists that are like singing sort of the romantic capital R songs about like nature and the self, and it's kind of abstract and imaginative. And then there are going to be the really political artists that are pushing our leaders to do better and pushing, you know, everyday people to rise up and all of that, and like everything in between. And there's going to be people who write mostly love songs, and there's going to be people that write mostly breakup songs, and like it's going to be a genre that has room for everyone. I do see folk being like the folk community being a little more self-reflective about how male dominated and how white dominated it has been, despite the fact that the roots of this music are the blues. And it started as an integrated genre and has shifted towards this like white guy in a button-up shirt and a hat genre. So that's a good thing that people are starting to get a little angry in folk music.
I love it. Great. Do you have kind of, what's your process for writing? Do you let the music guide your inspiration for the lyrics, or do the lyrics come and then the music comes?
A little of both. Just on the way to get set up for the show, I was writing some lyrics on my phone because like a certain rhyme came to me. Like sometimes it's like the rhyming of two words and two paired lines will just come to you. then sometimes a melody I'll just realize that I've been humming it. Like I'm not conscious of writing it. I'll just realize it's stuck in my head, and then I'll think, oh, I've been humming this for half an hour now. Maybe it's time to like sing it into the, voice recorder. And then lately, which I know sounds like so artsy fartsy, I've been writing songs in my sleep, like when I'm in that state between falling asleep or just waking up. Sometimes a song will just kind of come almost halfway formed, and all I have to do is write it down, which is very convenient.
Thank you for sharing about your process. Do you have any recommendations? I know you play the guitar and you play the harp. Do you happen to know anything about the ukulele or have any recommendations for the ukulele?
I don't play the ukulele. I wish that I could. I know that like Ida, the Harmony House, has had a few events with Jake Shimabukuro, who's an amazing ukulele player, but that's not my area of expertise, I'm sorry to say. I think the band The Staves use a lot of ukulele parts as well, so they're another great band to listen to if you want to get into that.
Thanks. Do you have your number one favorite musician that you look up to?
This changes like every 5 years. Right now, I would say that person is Amy Mann, because all of her songs are so different, and the way that she puts one chord in front of the next is never what you would expect. Like we have our traditional chord progressions, 1, 4, 5, that we all use, and she has these really unconventional ways of putting melodies together. So musically, the songs are really complex, but then the lyrics are like so relatable and just unforgettable. She writes some of the coolest, like she's just a really cool lady. You not only love her music, but you like want to get to know her. And she does a little bit of everything. She does podcasts, she acts, she's super funny. So she's definitely an idol of mine. I would recommend getting into her.
Thanks. And we have time for one more question.
Okay,
what would you suggest for students or just folks in general that maybe they're not musicians, but maybe they have a dream to do something like music that is creative, and maybe some people might say you can never do that, it'll never work. What is your advice for our creative folks out there to go and find their dreams?
It's so hard, and I so relate, and I so get the feeling of like, am I the only person in the world who thinks this like impractical career is something that I want to do? You can do it. It's like, if I were to speak to myself when I was a senior at Stanford, I would say like, it's going to be a lot harder than you realize, but it also is possible. And here's what I would say. It's that you have to really love the work, and you have to have goals in mind, results in mind, like keep those big picture goals, on your vision board, keep thinking about them when it gets hard, but day in, day out, you have to love what you're doing, because there's going to be a lot of days where you're not getting any positive feedback from anyone. Nobody is like knows who you are yet. It's frustrating, it's lonely, it's not that lucrative compared to some of our other classmates in other fields. But if you truly love what you're doing every day, if you just love writing songs, or you love painting, or you love, writing short stories, and you just work at it, that's going to be its own reward. And like, in my case, it really has paid off, because that authenticity will shine through, because there are plenty of people who are in creative fields because they want to get famous, or they want to be with the cool kids. But if you just genuinely love what you do and you're working at it consistently, over time, that's going to pay off.
Thank you so much, Lizzie, for joining us.
Danielle.
It was such a huge pleasure, and I know you couldn't see our faces as you were performing, and it must be very strange to do a concert into the void, but I can tell from all the feedback you're getting in the chat how much all of us enjoyed this.